Welcome to MJ Radio. I'm MelindaJoy Pattison, your host, and we're all about raising the collective consciousness on this show. So you never know what you're going to hear in interesting conversation with interesting people about interesting things. Today, I have one of my favorite guests with me who's been on my show prior when it was radio. My friend Stephanie West came on the show, and so it's really exciting today that everybody gets to see you, Stephanie.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't know for sure.
No, well, you look fabulous. And I'm so glad to have you here and to get to catch up.
Thank you.
So I think that it is not unusual that people have been having quite the journey during this era of COVID. I've started calling it an era because it's been going on so long.
Yes.
It's like an era.
It is.
Yeah, you mentioned that you've had some adventures over this time, and I would so love to just love to hear about whatever you want to tell us and catch up with you.
Thank you so much. Well, first, I'm very grateful for my health today. And part of my challenges, as you know, is that I have a medical issue that does not yet have a diagnosis. Yet I'm really grateful that I still can walk and be active during this time. I know I'm lucky in that regard. I have had some challenges recently in terms of pursuing this issue, this medical issue, where it's not really understood by the medical community. Yet it affects 1 in every 11 women and 2 in every breast cancer survivor, and many, many more due to other issues.
So we're talking about there something different in addition to lymphedema and lipidemia?
Oh, no, actually, it is the journey of lymphedema, and that condition of the lymphatic system not working correctly and causing what appears to be fat on the body, which is basically backed up toxins, can be co-contributors. So,
okay.
And one of mine that I've been fighting to make advances on just happens to be in the area of vein health,
okay. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the part that you're saying has not been diagnosed.
It's been difficult to get it diagnosed, and there appears to be different types of machine that read the veins, even though it's a type of, I'm not going to say the right word. It's when you have a baby, they read this little thing and it does a sonogram, but that's not it. It's not a mammogram. Oh, goodness.
No worries. No worries. So nevertheless, it reads the veins.
It reads the veins, and the veins are responsible not only for keeping us alive, of course, but in your circulatory system, but the veins also carry and contribute to adding nutrients to the body and cleansing toxins. And the lymphatic system and the veins grow side by side, generally. And so if one or the other is not working, or if they're both not working, you can have some real problems.
Yeah.
And so I've been pursuing that journey, as well as a device that is currently in the cosmetic world that's not yet accepted for other purposes, yet it has some benefits to people with my issues. But I've just reached a dead-end road every time I've tried to find out more about the device, try the device, blah, blah. So it's a challenge to try and heal yourself when the community doesn't recognize the issue necessarily. Now, that's the medical side. Yeah. There's also the mental, emotional side, which is
exactly everything connected.
Right.
Everything being connected, right? Yeah. Yeah.
I find myself in some shame blame when people ask me if I've done enough. Have you done enough? Are you exercising enough? Are you watching your
Who
diet?
says that? What? No, that's
Oh, yes. Shame blame. So in fact, I came from the doctor or a clinician today, and this person was very respectful. And I think it's very important that we're always encouraged to exercise more and eat better. When you're in a position where your condition's getting worse and someone asks you questions about, well, have you done this, this, and this? And you say, yes, yes, yes. I have to say that there's still I self-shamed. Well, did I do enough? Am I trying hard enough? And so that's kind of the ongoing battle is the mental emotional. And I'm on an active course to pursue this because my condition is worsening. Better at the beginning of the year, and now even with all my protocols and habits, it's getting worse. So, oh,
how frustrating.
Thank you.
How frustrating. And so are you saying to me, Stephanie, that it's clinicians who say to you, well, have you done this? You know, they're the ones who are saying these kind of shaming questions to you?
Well, actually, this morning, no. This person was
yes, you said this person was very respectful.
Yes.
So we want to make note of that. But
and I want to say compassionate.
Yeah.
While at the same time required by the job description to ask those questions. Now, in my past, I've had the shame blame. I mean, directly.
Gotcha.
So today, no. Great.
Well, thank God. Yeah, that this person showed compassion, empathy, respect.
Right.
These are the main requirements of a clinician.
I agree. And I
don't care what else you know.
And I'm not sure if it's our culture, because this condition makes you appear fat. It can even look like bumpy nodules on the surface of the skin because it's the lymph nodes that are clogged. And so that can appear anywhere in the body, actually. On the face, on the neck, it can occur anywhere. On an arm, a hand, just one hand, a foot. So the shame blame, I have to say, is partially me. Because I question myself, am I working hard enough? Am I pursuing this well enough? And
sure.
And it's sometimes challenging to have some forgiveness or self-love around it.
Right, because that's the stuff we do to ourselves. That's also true.
And when you start to look worse, and so
oh,
sorry,
Stephanie,
I'm tearing up a little.
It's okay. I think it's okay. You look to me actually as if you've lost weight.
I'm afraid not. From here up, I look fine. From there down, it's another story.
Well, you are, just let me say, beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much.
And weight really has nothing to do with that.
You're right. And thus the journey, the spiritual journey of building hope, which ties into a level of faith and positivity. So if you come into a dead end when you're trying to pursue wellness, and then you try another angle and reach that dead end, and you can get exhausted and
oh, no doubt.
Right, and kind of frustrated that everything you pursue doesn't seem to go anywhere, and months on end, and you try. So it's I guess it's a spiritual journey of learning how to build hope so that you have faith and then positivity. Those things seem to kind of go hand in hand for me.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
We are running because we're
not at all.
Thank you.
on a daily basis, and I'm going to say out loud the conditions again, that when a person is struggling with having lymphedema and or lipedema, and then anything coming along the side of it, that would be way enough. Either one of those would be way enough.
So one of them is radiation for cancer, because you can survive cancer, but then have this secondary condition because the radiation has damaged your lymphatic system. Mm-hmm. So here you've survived cancer, and then now you've got this permanent, uncurable condition of swelling.
Right.
And it can happen with trauma when lymph nodes are severed in some way, like surgically. And it can be triggered by hormone change, pregnancy in boys and girls, puberty, and they don't know why. They don't know why it's triggered.
Right.
So here we are.
But did you say to me in an earlier, when you were with me previously, that the propensity is genetic? Is that true? It can be triggered by these other things, but
can be. So I've my family genealogy, I've tried to research from what family member, what side this came from, because it appears that mine is genetic. But it's not always caused that way.
Not always that way.
Yes, and my curious question is with COVID, because the lymphatics are in charge of cleansing the body. And
right.
If you have COVID and you have lymphedema or lipedema, is it harder for the body to be cleansed? Does that bring on secondary? Will some of our COVID survivors have issues because their lymphatics have been challenged? Those are the curious questions I have.
Wow.
Because the lymph and the blood is so in charge of cleaning out toxins and poisons and viruses, all that. So I am really curious to see, for lymphedema and lipedema people, and there's so many in the population,
and many that don't even know that's what's going on.
That's right. They think they're fat. Right.
Yeah. Well, what has been your experience of this COVID era?
Oh, thank you. I feel so fortunate that we are in a state, New Mexico, that has taken many a precaution.
Right.
And I live with my, I'm going to say, older parents, 84 and 82. So I've been also very cautious to make sure I don't contract it, don't distribute it, and try to help them in their health journey as well. So I feel fortunate. I've had people I know get COVID, yes, and have ongoing issues. Yeah.
Right. Well, so have you felt an increased level of anxiety during this time?
Yes, and I think it's so I want to say, like, under the surface, almost like stresses can be so insidious. Is you're like, I'm doing fine. I don't have any stress. In fact, I have less stress now with COVID. There's less work problems. In fact, less work for me. Or work has plummeted gradually. But you're not aware. I think if you're not directly experiencing COVID with somebody else, then there's this underlying, I don't know how to talk about it, actually, because I feel like we're always in a period of uncertainty. And now with our world really being in the face of uncertainty, it's like, well, every day was uncertain. So I question myself, well, today is uncertain. What's changed? So sometimes I get confused by my own, well, every day has uncertainty. Anything can happen in one day prior to COVID.
Right. Just anyway. It seems to be more here than in our peripheral, could we say?
Right.
That it's like all of a sudden. my anxieties, instead of being something that's around here, that, you know, they're right here. And civil unrest, whoop, here again,
Yes.
right in our face, where it's
World
always been in the periphery.
climate change,
Climate change, political,
racial issues.
into all of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you are so not alone in this increase of anxiety. My clients express this to me regularly during this time. That, you know, they already have stuff. They already have a level of anxiety they carry.
Mm-hmm.
A number of them is what they come to me for. So they have a level of anxiety already. And then with these things that we've just mentioned, it's like sometimes off the charts level of anxiety.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
And it takes a level of self-awareness to, I think, realize that you can have a bad day, but maybe you're not identifying that this is like a little bit of an anxiety attack. And so so I think some people might have issues with, and so what they do they do things that compensate, which is not addressing the problem.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
For sure, yes.
I'll choose the benign ones. Like
let us count the ways.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes it's about self-medicating.
Yes.
In a variety of ways.
You know what?
People can be very creative.
Yeah, very. I mentioned I do have anxiety about the holidays.
Oh, yes.
I've tried to orchestrate family reunions on Zoom with some success, some not other success. And but the holidays, when you really want those loved ones near, and I just would really like for us to have a plan, and for us to not see the spiking that we are with our kind of our.
So are you hoping to have in person kind of Thanksgiving, or
I don't think we will.
Not feeling like that's gonna.
But I come from kind of a smaller size family in terms of my immediate family. Like, I don't belong to a large family. Do you, Melinda? Do you have a large family that gather?
Well, in my family, it varies. It varies over the years. It has varied in size, these holidays. But this year, I would say it's going to be quite easy to keep it small, because my parents are at an age where their energy for that kind of thing is way down, way less than has been in the past. And so it's going to be easy to just be really small and intimate that way.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm not worrying about that. But the family itself is huge and spread across. I mean, but we don't all live in the same place. So, you know, so in that way, it's like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank goodness we can have our pets around us, and you have that wonderful. Do you have more than one cat?
I have the cat, and then I have a little dog here.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah. So
nice.
they're just, yeah, life is not boring. Not boring. Ever.
Can I?
Now,
oh, go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, please.
something unusual happened. I wasn't seeking this out, but I recently went on a date with someone who works in the Albuquerque hospital with COVID patients. So when it finally came to have a date, we masked, but it was a restaurant atmosphere, and it's been proven that 6 feet is not far enough to avoid a contagion. And so this has just been very disturbing to me, and I'm very concerned for the people who really want to be in a relationship, but this is such a inhibitor on so many levels of getting to know someone. I mean, shaking hands even. I mean, it's just
right,
or a hug.
right.
So what I've done is I've hired a massage therapy where we all wear masks to just get that appropriate touch. Being that I'm single, and that's been one way I've been dealing with it. But I really feel for other people who are younger and maybe more on the dating scene.
Right.
I don't know if that was said well.
Well, no, I think this is a really pertinent topic. And so was it a good experience?
It was. We had a light dinner, and with our masks down while we ate, and great conversation, outdoor patio, socially distanced tables. So the whole experience was good. It makes it more challenging to get to know someone when you can't read the face.
Right.
Maybe you can read body language, but there's so much that is.
There is so much here.
Yes, hidden
to expression.
I don't know if my eyes smile when I smile. So, I think maybe we'll start to learn other kinds of cleverness with our
right. Right. And I was incorporating sometimes the shield for that very reason, because I want people to be able to see my face. Well, so now we can't be doing that anymore.
Yes. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I know.
and I didn't even realize it until I was out, and somebody said to me, like a security person said,
not enough.
Can't do that anymore. Can't do that anymore. And I said, oh, where's the sign? Why isn't there a sign?
Yeah.
So rest assured, next time I'll be okay, but I'm not going to wear both. So,
yeah, right.
So toss the shield. That's out.
This weekend, I was doing a little bit of hiking, and because I haven't gone out as much during COVID as I should, but as I'm breathing heavily, that thing goes, and so the mask goes, and you're like,
right. Yeah. It's not easy to function with them on.
And you like yourself, I wear glasses, so you get to where you're trying to put them here with the mask underneath so they don't fog up. You're out and about and you're like, I can't see because my own breath has just fogged my glasses. Kind of do it this way.
Yeah, it's a trip.
Yes.
It's a trip. And so, well, you said that earlier about your work has.
Yes, I'm in marketing, and so I often get work based on my reputation, thankfully, across the internet for logo design, but there's not as many businesses deciding to open during this time, understandably. There's not the distribution of, I want to say, paper or conferences where I've done large signage or conference photo op props or displays, brochures. So that work's gone, as well as I guess I've been building websites for about 30 years. And again, not many people are launching a business, and due to the economy not maybe improving on what they have. So that's kind of like, it's a little dwindling.
So it's been slow. It's been
Oh my
slow
gosh,
for you.
yes.
Yeah. So how is that? Well, that doesn't help your anxiety, I would expect.
One benefit is I've been an entrepreneur for quite some time. So when I left the corporate world, I dealt with that plummeting of no work, then too much work. And then, so I guess I'm old enough now that I've had more time with the roller coaster of life to be a little more calm. And I've got some really good hobbies that I adore. So that's been such a great, I want to say the pressure valve, like I can release through that pressure valve. So
creative stuff, like, right, you make jewelry, right, is what I'm remembering.
I got to, during this time, I've been able to take classes and volunteer. So I'm right now, I'm the communication director for the Plein Air Painters of New Mexico.
I was going to mention also that I've noticed you've been painting too.
It's a wonderful socially distanced group. You hike out into the wilderness with all your stuff on a backpack or a cart, and you're out in nature for that serenity or solitude or what nature can give you. And you're pausing to watch it so that you can paint it, watercolor, charcoal, whatever. And
Lovely.
Yes. And then there's people not far away, so that should a dangerous situation arise, which often can happen, you're not alone, say in an area, which is wonderful. And they were shut down for a while. So I've been able to contribute my professional skills to that organization and help to advance it, which has been a joy for me to be connected in that way. And encouraged to get out. Curious what winter will be like when it's cold.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, it's so wonderful that we have the sun all year.
This is so true.
Right. So maybe on days when it's not windy, you can still, wrap up. And if you're sitting in the sun, it feels much warmer than it actually.
I've been reading about our artists of old, and when oil paints first were able to be put in a tube, which allowed artists to travel, when it became available in a tube, instead of like grinding it in a bowl. So,
right.
And the things that they endured, because they were on, when America was being discovered in other lands, they would hire an artist to go along to document.
Sure, yeah.
To document the strange animals and the strange plants and things like that. So, and they were lugging heavier equipment. They didn't have plastic. Right. So I'm kind of like, I can do this. It's 110. I can do it. I can.
Now, is that a painting of yours behind you?
Oh, yes. This is a New Mexico scene. Someone posted this on the Santa Fe bulletin board of these mountain cats. They were babies. Let me see if I turn them the right way. On their back patio. And so I worked on a photo. These are baby, they're not bobcats. They were mountain lions.
Wow.
I know. Sweet.
Well, that's a beautiful, sweet painting.
Oh,
and do you use, is that acrylic or oil, or what do you use most?
Oh, thank you. Right now I'm using oil because Santa Fe is so dry. With the acrylics, it's like you go dab, and by the time you try to touch something, it's dry.
It's already dry. dry.
Oh, it's dry already.
Well, tell me this. There are these sticks that are oil, and
yeah.
they're not pastels. They are oil paint. But how do you use those things? Do you know? I bought some of them because I thought, wow,
Oh.
that is the coolest thing ever. And then I thought one day I'm gonna get them out and I'm gonna try these things out. Well, I couldn't do anything with them.
There are water-based oils. I don't know how that chemistry works, but there are people who have to avoid all kinds of toxins. Yes. Oh, I would love for you to come out with us and do a little journey. Is that any of your work behind you that you've got on your wall?
Oh, no, this painting here is one of my mother's.
Oh, how wonderful.
And it is oil. It is oil. Yeah.
And then there's a smaller one behind you too, on the shelf.
Oh, that's a photograph.
Oh, cool.
It's a photograph. Yeah.
Look how appropriate that is for this fall with the pumpkin and the vegetables.
Right. It's
nice.
It's really, she did it a long time ago.
Look at that.
And it is one of my favorite paintings that she ever did. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
And she's been painting well, she's not actually painting right now. She's 84 now, and she hasn't been painting in a while. But my whole life she was a painter. Oil, watercolor.
This group, we do have people that come out in their wheelchair. So, I mean,
isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they just sit down, which I often do. I sit down and take in the scenery. But anyway, I'm just mentioning options.
Right.
Like,
and I'm glad I'm glad you're mentioning that. For my mom, she lives in Clovis. So but it's good. Say more about this group. Like, how often do they go out?
So this group started in 1847. I don't know if you need to get that far back, but it's I know when the French painters came to Taos. Well, they actually weren't going to Taos. They had the first two painters had a broken wheel, and they ended up in Taos. And so we've had.
Boy, that's such an ubiquitous story.
It's a lineage.
My car broke down, and I just stayed. Right. I hear that stuff all the time. About that's how people got here.
Yeah, yes, I have too. So this group, beginners to master painters, and let's see, 426 members across the U.S. So people who live out of state also belong to the group. And
okay.
They might winter in one place and summer in another, and love New Mexico. And they have different challenges throughout the year. So there was a COVID challenge. And the work that these people did was amazing. So my favorite, and I can't think of the artist's name, is they put a roll of toilet paper on a pedestal and painted it. It was just so modern art. And there were other, because of the simplicity of the totem pole of the honor of the anyway, it's just great. And so there's been these really fun challenges to keep your mind active and your body moving. And it's changing slightly due to COVID. So
yeah. So every week?
Not so frequent. More like every 2 weeks there might be something. They've done challenges. We just finished a challenge in Los Alamos, and the national show is wrapping up, and there's been I mean, my first work in a House museum. I mean, it was just like so exciting to be
Very
juried,
exciting.
and there's
Yeah.
non-juried events, and there's classes and things like that.
Wow. So lots of stuff, and I expect they have a website, right?
They do, which I've been working on with another artist. So it's called, it's the initials. Plein Air Painters of New Mexico is this like huge, long word. It's PAPNM, Plein Air Painters New Mexico.
New Mexico.
.org,
Yeah.
nonprofit.
.org. .org. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long have you been painting?
Oh, a while, but it's gone on that hibernation shelf, depending on life circumstances. It's been
Sure.
shelved for many a year.
Right.
And this is
Right.
this is my first journey with really focusing on landscape. I've done all kinds of other things from my imagination, from realism to abstract, but this is my focus on more landscape, because I need to rebuild intuition and habits, and intuition, basically I have to build it back. So I'm out there exercising.
Well, it seems that it gives you a lot of pleasure.
It does. And I'm curious, you've done so much during COVID, pivoting. Your show is now in this format.
Right.
And is it still distributed by, oh my goodness, I'm not going to think of the company.
No, it's not.
Okay.
No. So I completed I had a year contract with Hutton, and
Nice. That's it. Hutton
yeah.
Press. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so I had the idea that I would like to go to YouTube earlier in this year than I did do it. But I was overwhelmed by the idea of making that switch, and of thinking that I had to have special equipment, and I had to, there were all of these moving parts that were not, part of my knowledge base. And so it would just felt like it would be a huge learning curve. And so I didn't do it. And then I had the opportunity to be on somebody else's show, and they were doing it this way.
Oh my gosh, how wonderful.
With Zoom. And they, in fact, had created their show based on the fact that we're in COVID, and this person is also a marketer, and I gotta keep my job. And so I gotta figure out ways to be creative with this. And so he started doing a show on YouTube, and he asked me to be on there. I was on there a few times. And then I thought, wow, well, you make this really easy, so I think I could do it too. And he's like, do it, and has been very supportive. And in fact, he edits this.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah, his name is Ken Hendricks, and he works for Home Instead. So you can find his little YouTube chats. They're called, it's like hashtag Stay Home Instead. And those are his little, yeah. And so it just kind of evolved organically that way. And it's so easy. I mean, Zoom does a really good job of panning back and forth between, when I'm speaking, it's showing, and that, like that. It's all recorded. I review the show. If there's a fly eater, we take that out. But then mostly Ken created a front piece for it, a thumbnail, and one for the end that has my website address. And it's good to go. And I release them on YouTube and Facebook.
Do you know the name of your YouTube channel by chance?
My YouTube channel is MJ Radio.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll go take a look.
And so there are now 8 episodes.
fabulous. Congrats.
Yeah. And actually, because I had already trained myself to do this at a certain time every week. So now I just kept doing it. And so I have some shows that, like this show that we're doing now, it will go in the bank. It'll be a few weeks before it gets released because I have some.
Yeah, back up.
Right.
Yeah, yes.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah. So it is. It is great, and it's so much more fun than radio.
I agree.
It's right. It's fun to see you.
I agree.
And and not have to do the advertising, not have to do the station identification every 5 minutes. That really takes quite a chunk out of the actual time for dialogue.
Nice.
And can talk whatever you want on YouTube and say whatever you want. No censoring, it's good.
Gosh. And also you can have other travelers from any location come in.
Well, exactly. I'm talking to a guy in Britain who wrote to me about my show, that when it was on radio, and about his journey with a disability.
Wow.
In his body. He actually he came to know me because of my brother, who has a spinal injury that he's been living with, and they're in some other group together, and so that's kind of how that happened. Nice. Anyway, and so he'll be on the show. Yeah, all the way from Britain.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
How cool is that?
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I really cool. Like it. I've taught some classes and I've taken some classes, and what I've noticed, instead of the classroom setting, with the camera you can zoom in and see something close up, whereas if you're in a class you're sitting way back, or the screen gets shared, and I've so enjoyed that.
Oh, well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, because in a classroom setting, you can't go, me first, I'm going to go up and look over the teacher's shoulder. See what they're doing. I've loved that. Yeah.
So has that been like painting classes, Stephanie? Is that what you're talking about? Or
painting classes, marketing classes. That's all I can think of right now in terms of my classes.
Yeah. But you can zoom in and see what's happening closer up. Well, who knew that?
Right?
That's pretty great. That's pretty great. Yeah. Well, so during this time, well, let me
the challenges during this time.
Sort of rewind, because I wanted, like, even before this time, my big a major part of my work is helping people to come into a place where they do self-care, right? So during this time, the need for it is even more.
It is. Right? It's even greater.
Right. And so what I'm getting around to is that what I talk to my clients about a lot, and in conversation with friends, too, is about taking care of yourself, taking whatever anybody needs to do to take care of themselves is the task at hand, right?
I think from childhood I heard this phrase, be your own best friend, but actually I don't think I learned that until somewhere in my 30s, because I didn't even know what a self-saboteur was. So it also comes from just your life experience, whether you've come into contact of concepts like this of what does practicing self-love really mean? Are you loving to yourself? Can you gain that perspective when you're under stress? Can you gain that perspective after you've survived the stressful moment or the time? It's quite the journey, and it's so helpful when to have a professional like yourself who's got that outside objective point of view. Because I do think, having your ability to see from the outside and listen, you can help people identify, oh, was that self-loving, was that self-care?
Right. And it even gets as basic. I mean, the trick is finding that place for people where they can actually give themselves something. And sometimes it is all they can do is even just think about the possibility of giving themselves a break. Sometimes and so the art of the work is encouraging that to then grow into a practice of pausing, checking in with oneself and say, what is it that I need right now? And maybe I'm going to give it to myself, or maybe I'm not. But the actual act of thinking about it is a huge step for many people, because this is not common.
And what I think you do is you can introduce ideas and concepts that the person hasn't ever thought of before. Like, here we're in this situation that we have no control, but yet some of our instincts, and I know mine have been, is try to gain control. Oh, if I work harder, I'll have more control over this plummeting workload. If I work harder, I'll grow. But then from someone like you to say, can you let go of trying to control it today? Can you, like, what? Well, but these ideas, you're so caught up in your whatever efforts. I'll clean,
and thinking
have control.
Right, and thinking that we have to do it all today.
Yes. So I love what you do. It helps the world and helps people, and you have this wonderful ability to open the golden key to those each unique individual. Everyone's so unique. You find that golden key for them, which I think is so wonderful.
That is the work, I think, and people want they want results quickly.
Oh.
Even in therapy, they want results quickly. And so part of the work is helping a recognition to come that this is a process. This is a process. And it really is a process for the length of your life. Whether you're formally in therapy or not, it is a process for the length of your life. And transformation is not a magic trick. It doesn't happen like that. And it's very subtle work. So subtle. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's and part of my love of it is that what you just said about every person being so unique and so different, that little opening is different. And discovering what that is and how to get in there. So much fun.
I'm so glad you think it's fun.
Oh, dude, it's so fascinating. It's so fascinating. Yeah, but even at that, so confession here, even at that, I find myself from time to time thinking, well, why isn't something happening here?
Mm.
Because that is so natural to think that, and then I have to remind myself, oh, remember, this work is about relationship. Remember, this work is very subtle. Remember, and
Ah.
think about back when that person first came to you. Well, we're talking about a whole different person here.
Mm-hmm.
That is the work. It's cumulative. Everything affects everything. And it's beautiful to watch. It's a privilege. It is a privilege to watch the work happening, because it's the person who comes into therapy who's doing the work.
I just
The
love that you're
therapist is
making it
holding the space.
MelindaJoy. So if they get that little shift in joy, and then it affects that thing, and it has that little ripple effect, and then more and more.
Oh, that's
I
so sweet.
I love it.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. Yeah. Well, we're both out to change the world. I th- I you know by and I think it's valuable to say to people listening that doing your own inner work changes the world.
It does.
That's just how it works. That's just how it happens. It changes the world.
I think you go into the coal mine of your soul, and it's dark, and you got to dig, and it's hard work, but the diamond's there somewhere.
For sure.
Right? And you're like,
For sure.
oh, I found a little fragment of that diamond. Okay, I'll dig some more in this dark coal.
Right? Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
My imagination's going.
No, I think that's a very good analogy, Stephanie. Yeah. 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 So I'm going to ask you what I often ask people. And in fact, I'm going to be on Friday, I'm going to be facilitating a conversation around this whole topic on Zoom, of course, live our lives on Zoom, about what is it that you do not miss from BC? What is it that you used to have in your life, maybe became impossible to have during this time, and it's become clear to you that don't miss it, don't need it, don't want it? Because I think this is an existential era by its very nature, and has offered one of the diamonds in the coal mine is that people have the opportunity to look at these things, say, what is it that I don't need to return to? What is it I don't need or want back? Yeah. And then the other side of that is, what is it that now I can put in my life that I maybe said I didn't have time for, prior, but now I could, something that is much more meaningful to me.
Do you want me to save my answer for later or answer now?
I would love to hear your answer.
Oh, thank you. I don't miss my personal driver, my driving hard.
Oh, say more. Yeah.
So I'm just, both my sister and I were drivers. Work harder, achieve more. No pain, more, no gain, which is not true. So having a chance to step back from the driver gave me the opportunity to see where I wasn't having joy in my choices that I was making. I thought they were things that were bringing me joy, but having the opportunity to step back and pause had that chain effect. Oh, let me purge this. I don't need that. And
right.
Who are the what work brings me joy? There's your name again. What work is touches my soul.
Yeah.
And how can I serve now that I have time? I've been able to serve. So all these benefits of just being able to pause for a moment and assess. I do not miss my own driver that put me in my own little rat race of
right.
do.
Right. Right. Right.
Thank you for
That.
asking me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it is the question of the time. You know that, and I have seen it in my own. That's how this question came to
Oh
me,
my
is because
gosh.
it um, it's been part of my own process to see what is no longer necessary for me. That
I'm so
probably
curious then.
probably
Right.
never was necessary. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
It served a purpose. It has been about discovering things that that I obligated myself to,
Oh.
that I required my regular attendance, and then all of a sudden we couldn't, you can't be doing that meeting. You can't be meeting. And I discovered several weeks in, I'm like, well, I'm not missing that.
Oh.
I'm not missing that. Not one teeny tiny little bit. And some of these things then begin to take place on Zoom, and I'm like, no. My Zoom time is committed to these conversations, to my clients, and to my most significant relationships.
So
I don't need to put anything else in there.
right.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. So it's really freed me up.
Oh, nice.
It's really freed me up.
I
And
love that.
yeah, and I just think it's such a beautiful opportunity to see that in our lives, what the really most important things are. And maybe it offers us the opportunity to completely change the course, because we can, and maybe free ourselves up from thinking we have to explain that. Because we're worried about what other people are going to think if I make this big change. Well, COVID has really, I mean, it's changed the
It's just even
complexion of our
it didn't
lives.
jump over that. It just poop, you're on the other side.
Right?
Yes.
And so I'm pretty much like, whatever it is that you've decided to change in your life during this time, go. You go. You go. Because in normal times, we can go for a long time without anything occurring to motivate us to make changes that we probably really need to make.
Right.
And here is this huge thing that's happening to everybody on the planet.
I know it is fascinating, because I had the time. I guess part of the anxiety is I did so much sleeping. Like I really needed to recover. And that's happened a couple of times. I think that's how the anxiety has shown up, is, I need extra rest. I've needed some extra sleep.
And you allowed that.
My body just said, you're going to bed. There was no choice.
But you listened.
That's
you
true.
Listened. Yeah. This is really important to acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You listened to that. Your body was asking you to give it some more rest. And I'll just, if you hadn't,
Right.
your body would have found some way to get your attention where you didn't have a choice, where you did not have a choice but to do it. But
you're right.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So important. So important. And I think as we're talking here, Stephanie, I think this is what I've been seeing in your face, that there is a groundedness, there's a restfulness about you.
Oh, thank you.
That seems to be new, and it is quite beautiful.
Oh my goodness, that is the best compliment. Thank you.
Speak of what I see.
The journey.
It is the journey.
There'll be some ups, and then there'll be some more.
No doubt for all of us.
And it's wonderful to have this conversation with you. It's about that support system that we so need. And I guess I'm kind of concerned for the children that are online school. And
oh, isn't that true?
Yeah.
Isn't that true? Yeah. It's
I didn't mean to change the subject. Sorry. I just
No. No. I ponder it a lot about how is this really.
Yeah.
So additionally, we could have a whole nother conversation just about that.
Right.
Right. And my kids are grown.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. So I don't know what if you have. I don't think you.
I have a son that's in college.
You have a son in college.
Online, and
I don't think I knew that.
Oh, he's online in college, and he also did an internship this year, which luckily the company didn't cancel. So he worked for the company online, which was really interesting logistical thing for them to ship proprietary computer and that confidentiality when it's remote.
Right.
And then I have a couple of nephews, 18 and 15, both in college, away in college, but mostly online.
Yeah, it's really a new world for how to do school.
I felt like those relationships and that interaction as you're through high school and you go forward, develop so much of your life skills. So I just don't even know where they're going to go now.
Right.
Not having experiences.
Yeah. And I have some I don't want to even call it understanding because I don't understand it at all, but some connection to children through clients of children who are in like kindergarten.
Yes.
And we're doing that online. What?
I know. And
what?
And this physical activity sports, yes.
I mean, those little guys need to be playing.
And the energy.
They need to be playing. They need to be read to. They need to be,
all that developing kinetic skills so that you know how to do things. Yes.
Yeah. Online?
Right.
I'm just like,
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah. I don't, so that's a whole universe to explore.
Conundrum. I don't know where that word came from, but it's a conundrum, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, well, this has just been so lovely.
Thank you.
And I hope we can do it again.
Oh, I would love to.
It's really nice to have you here in conversation.
Thank you for inviting.
Oh, my pleasure. So I'm going to
close it.
Close it. Yeah, thank you.
Wrap it up.
But don't go away. Don't go away. Yeah. Okay. So thank you, listeners, audience, for being with us today for this conversation on MJ Radio. And we'll see you next time.